This conference will now be recorded.
Right. Okay. Fine. So in our last session, so what all we have covered? We have covered, first of all, we have covered clinical trial process. After that, we have covered clinical trial terminology, ICH, GCP, E6, correct? So we have covered ICH, GCP, E6, ICH, E3, ICH, E9, and 21 CFR Part 11. All these things are covered, yes or no? So we have given, like, from what all the important points you have to go through, I've given ICH, GCP, E6 I have covered almost completely, but rest I have given you. So did you guys get a chance to go through that? All you guys got a chance to go through the documents? Apart from this, why
Yes, Raj.
Cdisc is important? Apart from this, why Cdisc is important? We have covered this points also. We have covered these slides, right? Before standards, after standards, what is EDC, what is internal CDM, so clinical trial process. You have gone through all these points, right? So all you guys are clear in this SR now? Hmm? 2 వారాలు గ్యాప్ వచ్చింది కదా, మొత్తం మర్చిపోయారా? Or you are okay? Theory is always, you have to go through. If you are not going through, you will tend to forget. Okay, so I have covered all these points. Correct. Right. Next. I will go into Cdisc now. You can see. ఈ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ అయితే గుర్తుంది కదా, మనం కవర్ చేసాం అందరికి. ఈ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ గుర్తుంది కదా అందరికి? ఓకే.
Yes, Raj.
ఓకే. థియరీ కదా, యూ విల్ టెండ్ టు ఫర్గెట్. ఒక్కొక్క పాయింట్లో మై ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్, ఎవరికి గుర్తులేదు. నేను మళ్ళీ ఫస్ట్ నుంచి చెప్పాల్సి వచ్చింది. ఏం చేస్తాం? మీరు మర్చిపోయినా కానీ నాకే పనిష్మెంట్. Right. Okay, fine. So this is the presentation I have given in one of the global workshops. You can see Cdisc stands for
Combined Data Interchange Standard Consortium.
Yeah, actually it is Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. So I have particularly written combined because whenever we are giving presentation, it's like in your school, what you will do whenever your teacher is doing, whenever your teacher is giving you lecture, what you will do? You tend to speak to other guys, right, who are sitting beside you. Correct. So that is same happens in IT industry also, in global workshops also. కొంచెం గ్యాప్ దొరికితే పక్కన వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడుతూనే ఉంటారు. Just to grab audience attention, so I started something controversial. Okay, so whenever I'm telling something wrong, basic stuff, and whenever I'm telling wrong, immediately people will get alert, "Arey, what is this guy talking? So this guy is talking nonsense." Okay, so immediately people will draw attention. So this guy is speaking something nonsense. So immediately with a simple smile. So next slide, we will go with the basic definitions. You see, right? This is one kind of, technique for presenting things. Okay, just to grab audience attention. So this is how we will do. Right. So CDISC stands for
Clinical Data Interchange Standard Consortium.
Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. Right. SDTM, Study Data Tabulation Model. ADAM, Analysis Data Model. SDS, Submission Data Standards. DDT, Data Definition Tables. Okay, so these are all the points. Right. Next. So these points we already have covered. So what is Cdisc? So Cdisc is a open multidisciplinary non-profitable organization. So these are all the points we already have covered, right? So this particular point, if you remember the goal of Cdisc, so this point we have already covered. So this is also we have covered benefits of SDTM, clinical wise, scientific wise, already we have covered. And right now in version 3.2, these are the domains that are newly added. So these are the new domains that are added in version 3.2. In 3.3 has also come now. So I will show what all the points that are newly added in 3.3 as well. Okay, right. So these are the fundamentals. You can see, right? SDTM fundamentals, SDTM variable classification, SDTM variables classification. You can see here identifier, topic, timing, qualifier. Okay, right. So identifier, topic, timing, qualifier. Right. Next rule. Okay. So these are all the basic points. So all your variables are mainly classified into five types. All your variables are mainly classified into five types. Okay. Right. These are all the five types. I will explain each and every category, each and every type. I will also give you an example. Okay. Right. So the first one is identifier variables. Whenever in a data set I have some bunch of variables, suppose this is some 10 to 20 variables or 50 to 100 variables. So all variables are not same, right? So we have some categories, right? So if I categorize those variables, okay, as per Cdisc standards, we can categorize those variables into five types. So those five types are identifier, topic, timing, qualifier, rule. So I will explain each and every category now. Okay, right. So you can see identifier. Okay. So these are the variables which identifies the study, subject involved, domain, and sequence number. So looking at this variable, you can come to an understanding. Okay, looking at this variable, you can come to an understanding which study the data belongs to, which subject the data is belonging to, and which domain and sequence the data is belonging to. Okay, so this is about identifier variable. This is about identifier variable. So all these variables which are storing information about a domain, subject, study, sequence number, all these variables will come into the classification. All these variables will come into the classification identifier. Okay, right. Next topic. Topic variable is this specifies the focus of observations. This specifies the focus of observations, such as name of the lab test. Such as name of the lab test. Okay, right. So, suppose to say I have a hematology test or I have a CBP, complete blood picture. What parameters you'll have?
White blood cells, RBC,
RBC, WBC,
Platelets, neutrophils,
MCV,
eosinophils.
MCV,
eosinophils,
MCHC, hemoglobin,
ESR.
and also eosinophils, neutrophils, basophils, lymphocytes,
Right.
and
All these
monocytes.
observations are focusing about a particular concept called CBP, complete blood picture, CBD, CBP, right? Yes or no? So all these observations are talking about a one particular concept called. So here he's like CBP is okay or not okay. All these observations are focusing about a particular concept. So variables which are storing these kind of stuff, they belong to this category topic variables. They belong to the category topic variables. Right. Next. Timing variables. Timing variables describes the timing of observation such as start date, end date. Such as start date, end date. You can see here timing variables. So timing variables we can describe. So suppose to say adverse event start date, end date. All these points will come into the classification timing variables. Okay, right. Next, qualifier contains additional text, values or results. Okay, right. So you can see here contains. So here, if supposed to say I have a variable age, I have a variable age. Okay, so I have a variable age. Variable age is having the values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So these numbers are years or months. How will you decide? So for this, you will have a variable called age units. Age units is a variable which will have, you know, which will have units. So variables that are storing units will come into the classification called age u. Okay, sorry, age u. Variables like age u will come into the classification called qualifiers. It gives some extra more information about your, it gives extra more information about your, okay, so about your values. Fine. So contains additional text, values or results which helps describes the observation such as units or descriptive objectives, adjectives, right? So all these variables will come into the classification called qualifiers. Next one, rule. Suppose to say if you are deriving a variable, okay, suppose to say if you are deriving a variable, so that variable will have the classification. That variable will be derived with respect to one particular logic, right? Okay, so variables that are derived based on a logic, those variables will come into the classification rule. Those variables will come into the classification rules. Okay, right, fine. Next, after these five classifications, after these five classifications, next one you can see here, qualifier variable is again classified into five types. So all of you guys are clear with five variables, right? Five variable groups, right? All of you guys are clear with all these five variable groups, right? Identifier, topic, timing, qualifier, and rule. Okay, right. So again, your qualifier is again classified into five types. Okay, again, your qualifier is classified into five types. So first one, grouping qualifier. Second one, result qualifier. Third one, synonym qualifier. Fourth one, record qualifier. Fifth one, variable qualifier. Okay, fifth one, variable qualifier. Right. I will explain each and every one. So first one, grouping qualifier. Okay, first one, grouping qualifier. Right. So these are used to group together a collection of observations. Okay. So particularly you can see laboratory category for laboratory. Okay. Right. So these are used to group together a collection of observations. Right. So whenever you have some category variables which are storing some categories, okay. So all these observations, okay, all these observations, okay, all these observations you can see here, you know, uh, So for example, I have some particular laboratory tests. All these laboratory tests belongs to a laboratory test called, hematology, serology, urinary. Okay. So all these kinds of variables which are storing these categories of your laboratory tests, this will come into the classification called grouping qualifier. This will come to the classification called grouping qualifier. Okay. Right. So example category for laboratory test. Result qualifier. This describes the specific result associated with topic variables for a finding. Okay. This describes the specific result associated with topic variables for a finding. So what is the topic variable? Name of your laboratory test. Okay. Name of the laboratory test. So now name of the laboratory test means I told you CBP, complete blood picture. Okay, CBP is complete blood picture. Correct? Yes or no? Complete blood picture, yes or no? So complete blood picture. So whether the test is okay or not okay, if all the parameters are well within the limits, then only I should say it is okay or not okay. Correct? So variables which are storing that information okay or not okay, variables that are storing the information okay or not okay. So those variables will have the classification called result qualifier. Okay, those variables will have the classification called result qualifier. Right. Next, synonym qualifier. So these are all the variables. Synonym means
Different word with same meaning.
right. So different words with same meaning. Correct. So here, so whenever you have a variables with a different words with same meaning, so those variables will come into the classification called synonym qualifier. So this variable contains alternative value name for a particular observation. Okay, right. So now if you see here AE term, adverse event term, AE modified adverse event term, and AE decode, dictionary derived code. AE decode is dictionary derived code. Okay. So now if you see here, AE term is adverse event term. AE term is adverse event term. So suppose to say subject came to the investigator, he said, he said to the investigator, I am suffering from pounding headache. Pounding is nothing but severe headache. I am suffering from pounding headache. Okay, right. I am suffering from pounding headache. Right. So now if you see here, I cannot write same term pounding headache. So in AE modify, so we will write headache. And for headache, what is the dictionary derived term? Same as it is, we will write in AE decode. Okay, right. Is this clear to everyone? Yes or no? Is this clear to everyone? Yes or no? Synonym qualifier.
Hi Raj, one question I have Banu here.
Hmm.
Is this AE term that we define in the actual, we'll take the information from the subject and we'll decode, we'll code it as per the,
Medra.
MEDRA, right? Okay, I just want to
Yes.
confirm that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, right. Next, record qualifier. Record qualifier is this defines additional attributes of a subject. This defines additional attributes of an observation in a record. So for example, AEREL, casualty. Casualty is the variable name. So this variable will have the information. Okay, this variable has the information A is related or not possibly related. Okay, so for example, one subject got adverse event after taking a drug. One subject got adverse event. So your clinical investigator will tell, this adverse event could be or may not be due to this investigational product. Okay, right. So that thing you can see here. So that variables which are storing much more information. Okay, so those variables will come into the classification called record qualifier. Those variables will come into the classification called record qualifier. Right. And next one, variable qualifier. This variable further describes the value of an observation. This variable further describes the value of an observation in a record. Example, lab units in which laboratory data is being collected. So for example, I have told age units, right? I already told, right? So age variable is one case, one category. Okay, right. So all the 5 categories are clear to everyone, yes or no? All the 5 categories are clear to everyone, yes or no? Yes or no? I need at
Sir.
least a
Yes,
response.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Next, these what are the classifications we have covered so far? These are variable classifications. So far, these are variable classifications. So far, these are all variable classifications. Now, what all the observations we have is for observation class. What all the observations we have is for observation class. Right. So data sets that are containing observations, are classified into 3 classes. Okay, they are classified into 3 classes. So what all the data sets we have in SAS? Okay, as per your SDTM, what all the data sets we are going to create? All these data sets are mainly classified into 3 types. Okay, all these are classified into 3 types. First one, intervention. Second one, events. Third one, findings. These are the 3 major classifications, I would say. So earlier, these are only these 3 categories, but later on, one more category added. It is FA, findings about. It is FA, findings about. Right. Next, findings about. So now, first one, you can see interventions. This class captures information. This class captures information. Okay, this class captures information regarding investigational treatment, therapeutic treatment, and procedures. You can see here, right? This is how it is. Okay, right. So you can see here. So these are all the data sets that has the classification. These are all the data sets that has a classification. Right. Investigational treatment, therapeutic treatment, and procedures. Right. Example, concomitant medication. So this data set will have the classification CM, concomitant medications, EX, exposure, SU, substance used. SU, substance used. Okay, right. Next. So all
What
these
is the
data sets, go ahead.
what is concomitant medication? Sorry, I don't know.
Concomitant medication is the drug which we give to the subject whenever a subject gets adverse events. Suppose to
Okay.
say one person is participating in my clinical trial. One person is participating in my clinical trial. Okay, that subject got some headache. To relieve that headache, I have to give medicine, right? So that
Yes,
medicine
yes.
we call it as a concomitant medication, prior concomitant. So prior
Okay.
is before giving investigational product. If you are giving any other treatment, prior. After giving investigation product, if you are giving any other medication, it is concomitant. Prior concomitant, we will see in upcoming sessions.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you. Yeah.
next. Okay, fine. So all these data sets which are storing information about investigational products, therapeutic treatments. So, all these things will come into the concept interventions and events. This class captures occurrences and incidents. This class captures occurrences and incidents occurred during a study trial. Example, adverse events, medical history, DS, disposition, and DV, protocol deviations. Okay, right. So these are all the variables that comes to the classification. You can see. So variables that are storing this information. Okay, variables that are storing this information. You can see, right? So data sets that are storing this information. You can see, right? So AE, MH, DS. So all these variables will come into the classification. All these data sets will come into the classification events. Okay, right. So here you can see this is all about. Okay, this is all about. Right. Next. So for example, you have adverse events, medical history. These are all medical history is a concept like uh, what did what is the subject status? Okay, what is the subject status? Medical history is what is the subject status? Like like for example, how should I tell? Okay, so before the subject is participating in my clinical trial, subject number one had you know typhoid. Or subject number one has had typhoid. So we will gather the subject's medical history also. Subject number two was affected with COVID. Okay. So all that medical history details also we will capture with respect to each and every subject. So all that information will go to medical history domain. MH stands for medical history. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Just one question, Raj. If he has underwent surgery, also we'll capture it under medical history, right? In past.
Yes.
Okay.
If he has a bypass surgery, yes, that is also history major event. We will write it for sure. Okay, fine. Next, findings domain. Next one is findings domain. This class captures observations. This class captures observations resulting from planned evaluation. This class captures observations resulting from planned evaluation. Suppose to say I'm doing a test. Okay. Suppose to say I'm doing a test. Okay. So whenever you are doing test, we get results, right? Whenever you are doing test, we get results, right? All that results, all that results you see here will be coming to the classification called findings. All that result test, it will come into your findings domain, right? Okay, example IE, LB, QS, PE, PC, pharmacokinetic concentration, and PP, pharmacokinetic parameters. Right. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So suppose to say if you are doing a laboratory test and you are getting a result, so data sets which are storing such kind of results will come into the classification called findings domain. Okay, right. Next. So we have one more classification called findings about. Okay, we have one more classification called findings about. So findings about is something like if you have any results related to your topic variables, those will come into the classification called, those variables will come into the classification called, findings about. Concomitant, concomitant medication here. Concomitant, it's not concomitant, it's concomitant medication. CM, concomitant medication. Ramya, is it clear? It is concomitant medication. You're there? Okay, so what is it is, you can see here, what is it here is, okay, so concomitant medication is nothing but, just now I told, right? Concomitant medication, what is a concomitant medication? I told. So, but that's okay, I will tell one more time, no problem. Suppose to say, subject number 1 is participating in a clinical trial. Okay, subject number 1 got headache. Subject number 1 got headache. So headache is very severe. Headache is very severe. So to get relief from that headache, your investigator will give some medication, some anasen, crocin, whatever it is. Okay, anasen, saridon, whatever it is. Okay, so to whatever the medication, this whatever the medication we give, apart from your investigational product is actually the subject is participating in a clinical trial, to cure oncology, cancer, solid tumors. Okay, the person is taking into trial, so this person has a solid tumors, to get that solid tumors, what I mean to say, to remove that, to get rid of that solid tumors from his body, we are giving some treatment. So that is your investigational product. Okay, that is your investigational product. Correct? Fine. Okay, fine. Next. So whatever the medication apart from investigational product, whatever the medication we are giving apart from investigational product, so we call it as concomitant medication. We call it as concomitant medication. Is that clear? Whatever the medication we are giving apart from investigational product, we call it as a concomitant medication. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Next. Okay, so these are some examples you can see, right? Interventions, general observation class, you can see concomitant medications, exposure, substance use. Events, general observation class, adverse events, disposition, medical history, and protocol deviations, clinical events. These are all the examples for events classification. These are all the data sets that are as part of your Cdisc standards. Next, findings, general observation class, you can see. So ECG test results, ECG test results. Okay. Inclusion exclusion criteria. Next, laboratory test results. PE, physical examination. QS, questionnaires. I want you guys to go through all this. I want you guys to go through all this.
Raj, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you mean by drug accountability?
So how many, like, whenever we are conducting a clinical trials, so you are a sponsor, suppose to say if you are working on a CRO, so sponsor will send, so 100 placebo and 100 investigation products. How many are used? How many are not? The drug accountability will be there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi Raj, Bhanu.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please.
Yeah, do we have any standard questionnaires for clinical trials? Like, if you say anything in particular standard, or it will be completely designed by the sponsor itself?
Standard questions for?
Standard questionnaires, like if you are participating, a subject is participating in a trial,
Yeah, that
whatever
sponsor
the.
will decide. We have a
Okay,
document called CRF. We have a
okay.
document called CRF that sponsor will decide.
Hmm.
That sponsor will decide. Okay. So all you guys have gone through this.
Yes.
Next one. Special purpose domain. Special purpose domain. So special purpose domain is nothing but data sets which are not coming into the category interventions or events or findings. Data sets which are not coming into the category interventions or events or findings. Those data sets will come into the classification called special purpose domain. Okay, those data sets will come into the classification called special purpose domain. Right. Next, special purpose domain. This is nothing but include subject level data. So this all will have subject level data and do not conform to any of the three classes of observation data sets. So just now we have covered three classes, right? What are the three classes? Interventions, events, findings. Correct? Interventions, events, findings. Right. So these are all the three classifications we have. Right. Next. So apart from these three classifications, if the data is having information about subject level data, those observations will come into the classification called special purpose domains. Okay, right. Examples are demographics. Examples are demographics, concomitant medications, subject visits, subject elements. Okay, right. So these are all the data sets that come into the classification. These are all the data sets that come into the classification special purpose domains. Okay, right, right. You can see here demographics, concomitant, subject visits, subject elements. So what information you will have in demographics is like, you will have subject, age, sex, race, all these things you will have. Okay, this is a subject level data. And this information is not belonging to any of the three classifications: interventions, events, findings. Trial design model. Trial design model. You can see trial design. So trial design, you can see, right? The design of a clinical trial. The design of a clinical trial is a plan for what assessments will be done to subjects, and what data will be collected during the trial to address trial objectives. Right. Okay. Right. So you can see here. These are the data sets which will store complete information about your data set. These are all the information which will store complete information about the data set. Sorry, about your study. So these data sets will have complete information about your study. So trial arms you can see. So in this data set, you have complete information about your trial arms. So what are the subjects, what treatments we are taking in this trial. So trial arms will have only information about your investigational product, placebo. What are the treatments that are part of your clinical trial? Only that information you will present in trial arms. And the TE trial elements. TE trial elements is nothing but, so whenever you are how should I tell? So whenever we are giving trial, depending upon your study design, we have screening element. So certain period of time, the subject will be screened. After that, you have baseline. After that, you have a treatment epoch. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, we give on treatments. So these are called elements. These are called trial elements. How many elements are there in your trial? So all that elements information, you need to write it in TE domain, trial elements domain. And the TV, trial visits. So how many times the subject is planned to come out to our clinical trial? Okay, so we have follow-up visit. So every 6 months we have a follow-up visit. So so all these visit information will be present in trial visits domain. And a TI, trial inclusion exclusion criteria. If you wanted to take this person into clinical trial, so I want a TI, trial inclusion exclusion criteria. Okay, I want a trial inclusion exclusion criteria. So TI domain. Next, TS, trial summary. TS is trial summary, right? So trial summary is nothing but you have a complete picture about your trial. So for example, what is the study design? So how many patients are participating in your clinical trial? Is your randomized? Is your trial randomized? Yes or no? So all these things. Okay, fine. Next. Okay. So TDM, trial design model. What are the data sets that are coming into this TDM? What are the data sets that are coming into this TDM domain? I want everyone to make a note. I want everyone to make a note. Trial arm, trial elements, trial visits, trial inclusion exclusion criteria,
Trial summary information.
trial summary information. Right. These are all the things that come into this category.
Can you please repeat it once again?
Which one you want me to repeat?
Trial arm, train.
Trial arms is nothing but simply what all the uh, what all
No,
the
no. You just explained about which are all the domains comes. Can you repeat those domains? I'm just making a note of it.
TDM is nothing but TDM, trial design model, is nothing but it is a bunch of data sets that are related to trial design. It is a bunch of data sets related to trial design. So all this information you will get it from you will capture from your protocol. So what all the information is there in your protocol, same information you will present here in these domains. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So in your protocol you have treatment information. That treatment information will go to trial arms. In your protocol you will have how many phases we have to do the trial, how many how many visits or how many elements we have to do the trials. For example, baseline, screening baseline. You have a week 1, week 2, week 3 treatment. Okay, after that week 4 follow up. So these are all the concepts comes under trial elements. Visits, how many times the subject is actually expected to come to my clinical trials or CROs. And the next one, trial inclusion exclusion criteria is nothing but, so we will have a prerequisites, right? We'll have a prerequisites, right? So whether to
Yes.
take the subject into clinical trial, whether the subject will fit to participate in a clinical trial, yes or no. So that prerequisites is part of your protocol, right? So you can see here all that information, prerequisites information will be present in TI domain. Next, TS, trial summary information. So it gives complete picture about your clinical trial, study design, how many subjects, so what is your primary endpoint, what is your secondary endpoint, all this information you will have in TS, summary of your clinical trial. Is this clear?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Special purpose relationship data sets, supplemental qualifiers, subqual. Okay, supplemental qualifiers you can see here. Supplemental qualifier data sets are used to capture non-standard variables. Supplemental qualifier data sets are used to capture non-standard variables and their association to parent records For example, study ID. So here, suppose to say, whenever we are creating a SDTM domain dataset, SDTM domain, SDTM dataset, domain dataset, both are one and the same. So whenever you are creating a dataset DM domain, suppose to say, so one subject is belonging to multiple races. Suppose to say one subject is belonging to multiple races. In this case, we will store this information into different races. Race 1, race 2, race 3. But as per your standards, we have to store race in one variable only. Okay. We have to store race in one variable only. Right. So you can see here, you know, all that races cannot be stored. So variables that are storing non-standard information will come into supplemental qualifier data sets. I'll show you an example. Give me a minute. Okay. Give me a minute. I will show you an example with respect to SDTM implementation guide only. This is a demographics domain. Demographic domain. So example 3. I want everyone to go through this example 3. Just read this example. 1, 2, 3. Is this clear, guys? You have gone through this example? You have gone through this example? Anything you understood from this example? Anything you understood from this example?
Subject participating in the trails are supposed to give the race information, where each subject has captured the information differently for each subject. I mean, one subject 001 was captured as others and specified resilience, and two with multiple, and fourth one, third one was not interested to share the information, and fourth one as a race has shared.
So in this example, one person is belonging to multiple races. One person is belonging to multiple races. As per your SDTM standards, we have to present race in one variable only. You have to present race in one variable only. Okay. So for this reason, you are writing race variable as multiple. But what are the multiple races? If you wanted to get further details, you have to create a supplemental qualifier dataset. So you have to create a supplemental qualifier dataset. Supplemental qualifier dataset is this. So first one, subject number 1, marked race others. He has written value as Brazilian.
Again, race 1, black or African American. Race 2, American Indian or Alaska Native. Race 3, other. Again, that race other is again aborigine. So 5 different races the subject is belonging to. Okay, 5 different subjects the subject is belonging to. So you can see here any variable which is not part of your SDTM standard list of variables, those variables will be considered as a non-standard data. For example, if I'm creating a SDTM DM domain, you see, right, these are a list of standard variables. So you see, these are list of standard variables. Any variables which is not part of this list, any variable which is not part of this list will be considered as non-standard variable. Any variable which is not part of this list we will consider as a non-standard variable. So all the non-standard variables, we will create a, all the non-standard variables, what we will do, we will create a supplemental qualifier data set. In a supplemental qualifier data set, you have standard set of variables like study ID, R domain, U subject ID, ID where identification variable value, ID where value, and Q num qualifier num, Q label qualifier label, Q val qualifier value, and Q origin from where you got this data, CRF, and Q eval. Okay, these are standard set of variables. In which purpose we create supplemental qualifier data sets? Whenever your study is having non-standard data, to capture that non-standard data, we will create this supplemental qualifier data sets. Is this clear to everyone, yes or no? Is this clear to everyone, yes or no? Availability of non-SDTM standard data, which has study data but cannot be presented in parent domain, which cannot be used in your parent domain. So in that case, we will create this supplemental qualifier data sets. Clear? So we will cover this topic in next class. Hopefully by next class we'll try to finish. Okay. So is this clear to everyone, yes or no?
Raj,
Sure.
can we get this presentation?
Yeah, you'll get it soon. You'll get it. I'll ask my team to share this presentation with you guys. No worries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Raj, one question, doubt actually.
Mhm.
Can you just show me the PDF? You just
PDF.
showed the race information CRF that you have showed up a moment back. Yeah. Here, when you are discussing, you just specified that this information is, all this information is for one subject. Am I correct?
Correct.
In that case, the unique subject number should be the same across all of them, right?
Unique subject number, yes.
But if I see 1, 2, 2, 2, it's a
That is
different
subject
one.
number 1 data. This is subject number 2 data.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Okay. That's all for today, guys. Please go through these concepts. So it will be, really confusing if you have not gone through. For next week, you will tend to forget. So I'll ask the team to share this material with you. Please go through the material, follow, try to follow. And, before you come to next class, it is make a habit, you have gone through the topics that are covered in previous session. Okay, so class koche mundanna, at least, please open your books, see what is discussed in last class, try to go through theory, nothing to by heart, nothing to study, nobody is asking you to write paragraphs there. All that is, you have to always recap, because theory we tend to forget. So my sincere suggestion would be, so before you are coming to class, please give a quick recap. So I know class is early in the morning, maybe you can recap before a day, no problem. Okay, right. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.
అనేటువంటి అవకాశం ఉంది చెప్పమని విశాఖ గర్జన మరి కాసేపట్లో ప్రారంభం కాబోతుంది. దీనికి సంబంధించి ఇప్పటికే ప్రజలు వేరు ప్రాంతాల నుంచి కూడా ఈ అంబేద్కర్ సర్కిల్ కి తరలి వస్తున్న పరిస్థితి ఉంది. మంత్రి గురువాడ అమర్నాథ్ తో పాటు ఇతరులు కూడా ఈ